Mirador Rubin's viewpoint. This is a great place to tell you about how Lisbon started and grew over time, and just a little background about the history of the city, because if there's any city that you need to know a bit about the past to understand, this is, it's this city, because it has such a rich history, and a lot of what you see around the city is connected to the past. So it's really important to understand a bit about the past of Lisbon. So if we look out over the city this way, that bridge, 25th of April Bridge, named after the revolution of 1974, 25th of April 1974, and the river, which stretches, its longest river in the whole peninsula. It's over 1,000 kilometres long. Here you've got this hill with the castle on. In fact, it's not just the castle, that's where Lisbon used to be.
Da caravana, mas não tinha coração. Diziam que era cigana.
In fact, this was the first non-religious school in Portugal. Portugal's a very Catholic country, as you know. But 1906, this school was opened by a group of anarchists and Freemasons, alright, who didn't want a religious education for their children, so they wanted to offer an alternative. So they set up this school, which stayed open right through the dictatorship until the 1970s. And a very interesting fact, the Freemasons were illegal during the dictatorship. However, they continued to have their secret meetings in here, in this building, during that time. So I spoke to grandson of one of the directors of the school, and he said even that they built a secret tunnel going under the paving stones here, out to the street, so that if the police came in the night, they could escape out the back.
So if you were going to describe Lisboa with one word, which word that would be?
Well, I had to think about this when you asked me the question earlier, but I found it very difficult to use one word, so I'm cheating, I'm going to use two words. I would say Lisbon is a sad beauty. Certainly a beautiful city. Everybody who comes here knows it's a beautiful city, but it also has a kind of melancholy, a sadness about it. Perhaps it's the days of lost glory, that it has. It's the empire that it's lost. Difficult times that its people have been through over the centuries. The earthquakes, the civil wars, the dictatorship in the 20th century. People have lived through a lot here. But they're tough, they're resilient, and so they've kept on fighting, they've kept on going. So the Fado music really expresses this, because it's once sad music, but it's also music that expresses a strength, the strength that keeps us going through difficult times.
You take people for walking tours around the city. What is special about this city compared to other big cities in Europe?
Well, I think every big city is special. There are other big cities I love, like London and Paris, where I lived for some time. They all have their particularities. I mean, Lisbon is so important in world history. This is really, we live in a world that's globalized now. This is really where globalization started. The first expeditions to Africa, the first sea voyage to India and to Brazil, it all started here. So the slave trade, colonialism. So there's so much of Europe's history concentrated in one place, in Lisbon, and that's one thing that makes it such a fascinating place for me personally. Yeah, so I'd recommend for anybody who's interested, curious perhaps about Lisbon and Portugal, a book and a film. This is a really a great gripping read about the history of Portugal and what happened through the centuries and how Portugal changed the world. They introduced tea to England, they introduced firearms to Japan, even according to some accounts, tulips to Holland, you know, so they were spreading around all these things. And there's also a film I love, which is called Lisbon Story. This is a film by the great German film director Wim Wenders. He made this film in 1994. Very beautiful film, so it really gives you a feel of Lisbon as well.
I know people are interested in different things.
Yes.
Some people are interested in architecture, some people are interested in history.
Yeah.
But if you were going to say some few spots which everybody should visit when they visit Lisbon, which spots would they be?
It's a very difficult question because almost you can say that the city itself is the attraction. You know, it's the streets of the city. It's wandering around, and it's the little surprises that you find round the next corner. You know, a little square that you wasn't expected, or a piece of street art, or something like that.
And you were telling about tiles.
Yes.
On the walls here, because
That's
everywhere we walk there are tiles on the walls.
Yeah. Tiles started with the Arabs. You know, they invented a technique of painting on ceramic, and so this inspired the Portuguese when they arrived to use tiles inside their churches and their palaces. After the Great Earthquake, they started to put tiles on the outside of the walls. So you see this really all over the city, and it's very beautiful. It's one thing I think that makes Lisbon a beautiful city. The other thing perhaps is the paving studs. According to the story, this goes back to the earthquake when the city was full of fallen buildings and rubble, and so somebody thought, why not use these stones, you know, to pave the streets of the city? So that's what happened. And so this is all over the city today. They make very beautiful patterns and pictures around with it as well. They say that Lisbon has a special light, you know, a special quality light, and perhaps this is because these light paving stones everywhere that reflect the light up into the streets.